So today I'm going to show you how to build a variety of Sparkline charts in Google Sheets, ranging from a line chart for something like stock price data or a column chart to represent the same data. We have a single bar or progress chart to show your progress on things like sales goals. We have a column chart for a comparison in something like fruit sales, or individual line charts when you want to see individual line charts for multiple lines of data. So let's go ahead and start with this line chart, and this is the quickest and easiest. We'll just use equals Sparkline, and then we'll just select this data here and close that up, and boom, that's done. Now we can do some quick things to help visualize what's going on here. So for example, we could pick the start and end date like this, and then we probably want to change that alignment. Maybe we can make these a little bit smaller if we like. We could do something like that. We could do something like this format with a month/day. And that just gives a quick visual reference point for what that data is representing. We could also highlight the max and the min lines on here by a simple max formula. And we'll just grab that data there. And then we could do min. And that just gives us a quick reference point so people can easily tell what they're looking at. Next, let's look at this column chart. And so again, I just pulled in this data like this. So in this case, instead of doing the number format like we did here, I just used this text formula and then put that in. And so for example, if you do 3 M's, it turns into the month name, or MM is 01 and so forth. And so let's go ahead and build this. And this again will be Sparkline. And then we're going to grab our data again here. But this time we're going to do some settings. And so if you click on this question mark here, you can see we have some options, and I actually want to go learn more. And this is a very useful reference point here because this options has a bunch of different options for what you can do here. So it's a lot of different stuff here. We're going to give you a sampling in this by the end of it of different things you could do. So just a reference point, if you need to find it, that's where it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and just build it here and kind of explain as we go. So we can do our options within a curly brace, and then it kind of gives you an example of quick options here. And so the one we are going to use is chart type. And then I'm going to do a comma, and then we're going to do column. And so we can just leave it like that for now. And you can see it already transposed it from a line chart into a column chart like that. So that's awesome. Let's go ahead and do a few more settings here. And so for example, we could do low and high color. And so what we do is between each type and setting, we do a semicolon. So then I could do something like low color. Let's do red. And then we could do high color is green, for example. And there you go. So you can see there's the low point with a red, a high point with a green. So let's go ahead and go to our next one, which is our progress. And so here we just have some data. And so the way this works is we have sold and the goal. Now you could do a remaining if you prefer. And we would just do remaining like this. And what this would be our goal minus our sold. And you could use that as a part of this chart, but I'm going to show you how to build it just with something like sold and goal. So again, we're going to open our Sparkline, and then let's grab our data. And so our data would be here, except for this isn't going to show up quite right, because on our bar chart, we want our sold to be part of it, but then the other part actually isn't going to be our goal. It's going to be what's left or the remainder. And so for example, if we get up to 20, we don't want anything left shown the goal. So if we had 20, the remaining would be 0. So what we really want is 2 data points. One is how many have sold or what we've achieved, and then what is remaining. And so we're going to do that using a custom array here. And so we're going to grab our H12 and then our H13 minus our H12, and that's going to function as our remainder. So now, if I can get back to this here, and then comma, and then now we're going to do our options, and then let me put that in closing parentheses there. And so again, we're going to do chart type and bar, and now we're going to set some things like color 1, and so color 1 is going to be the color of our first bar, and so this is going to be, for example, what we already achieved. And then for our color 2 or our remaining, I'm going to do a different color, just like that. So now if we change our sold amount, let's say we go to 15, you can see now it progresses there. If we go to 20, then it's all of it. If we actually go to 0, then you can see that we reverse and it's all of the remaining. And so this here is just a formula essentially doing the same thing. And if you want to play around with this, make sure to check out the link in the description below, and you can actually download this template so you can kind of play around with it and see how you can modify it for using in your own project. So let's go ahead and keep trucking along here. And so next we have a fruit sales or a column chart for a quick comparison. And so here again, I have these listed across the bottom. And so I basically just took these and then copied them, transposed along there so we could quickly see those. So again, let's go ahead and open our Sparkline and grab our data here. And then we'll do our settings here and chart type. And this one will be a column 1 again, like we did a little bit ago. And then in this case, let's do what's called a Y min, and this is setting the minimum value. And then let's just set a color for our columns here. And I'll just pick one I have here, 6FA, 8DC. And then my closing brackets. And then I mistyped. I didn't put chart type. I did chart type, or how you would say that. So if you have some unexpected, just make sure you don't have any typos in there. All right, so there you can see we have it neatly puts it into each of those. And so what I did here was I actually merged this into 4 columns. And when I do that, then I can put that title for each column in each column, and then it will match up. And so, for example, if I did this and I did it across 3 columns, then you can see that even if I put a text in each column, it's not going to match up. So if you want to do titles for something like this, just make sure you have the same number of columns as you have pieces of data that you want to display, and then you'll be able to match up those labels if you like. All right, and so let's jump into our last one, which is individual line charts. And so let's go ahead and start our Sparkline here and select this data. Now, one thing you'll kind of notice is as I go to select this, we actually have 2 rows in this, if you see 22 and 23. And so if I try to close this, we're going to have an error. And the reason being is we're basically merging 2 rows. And so if I go back and just manually set this so it's 22, now we have our basic line chart here. And so you could just run with this if you want basic line chart. I'm going to show you how to do a couple quick settings on this to make it look a little nicer. So let's do our options inside those curly braces, and we can set our chart type. Make sure I get both T's in there, and this will be a line. And then let's do maybe a color like green, and this time let's set a line width. So the line width was narrower, I guess, before, and you can set it differently here to whatever size that you want. So let's just do 2. I think that looks good. And then we can actually just drag this down. And there you can see that. And then maybe we'll drag it down here. I would drag it down, except I'm going to mess up my border. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to copy and then paste formula only. And then here I can just manually set if I want to change something. I could get the line width a little thicker just to emphasize that total. So that's how you can set a quick line chart in a cell for each row. And that gives you a quick visual comparison for the performance across each region. All right, so that is it for today's video. Again, as I said before, you can check down in the description below for a link to this Google Sheet, and make sure to check out our other videos on both Google Sheets and AppScript. Have a great day.